Ahoy there, my friends. Welcome to Star Wars Transmissions. Andor Episode 12 Season Finale Breakdown and Discussion. I'm your boy Dan. Sadly, my number one homegirl, Danielle, isn't able to join us today. She sadly had to work. So you got me by my lonesome. We're going to be talking all things Andor, episode 12. Can't wait to dive into it. Obviously, if you have not watched the season finale of Andor, if you have yet to watch episode 12, get those booty cheeks out of here. You know the drill. Go watch Andor, episode 12, then come back, listen to me yammer on about how freaking incredible this episode was. True Vulgarian, welcome to the chat, my friend. Glad to see that you're able to join us. Sonia, welcome to the chat. Glad you're able to join us as well. Guys, let me start by saying this episode was excellent. A ton of fun. This season has been nothing short of excellent. From start to finish, this season has been spectacular. One of the things that I thought about once the episode ended, where Cassian's story began to where it ends in this season. What a journey. What character development and growth. I love it. And everyone involved with creating this series, Tony Gilroy, all those involved with creating this series, hats off to them because they have done a spectacular job. I've said this pretty much in every single episode that we've done a stream on or a review about. This season has been nothing short of awesome and has delivered in pretty much every way that I was expecting and more. So the season finale was right on par with what we've come to expect with Andor as a whole. And man, I cannot wait for season 2. I don't know when exactly it's going to premiere. Production for season 2 started already. So we may not have to wait all that long for season 2, but man, even if it's a year, even if it's 11 months, however long it has to be, it stinks because I'm already jonesing for more Andor. Now, I should also say, before we start breaking down the episode, I sadly didn't get to watch the episode multiple times. I only got to watch it once, and I didn't get to take a ton of notes. I've got family coming to town for Thanksgiving, so I was getting stuff ready for that, trying to get stuff ready to do a stream, so I didn't get to watch the episode multiple times, so keep that in mind as we're going along. But let's dive into it. Let's get rolling. So the episode opens, and essentially what we've got in the first 10 minutes or so is all parties involved things are converging on Ferrix. We see Dedra Meero and the inclusion of Death Troopers. I was so pumped when I saw the Death Troopers. Death Troopers first appeared in Star Wars in Rogue One, and I love that we're getting them included in the season finale. When the Death Troopers are involved in whatever it is that the Empire is doing, that means it's serious business. Whatever the Empire got going on, they mean business when Death Troopers are on the scene. So we know from this season that this is an important span of events that's going to transpire over the course of this episode, but the inclusion of Death Troopers just hammers that home that, yeah, this is serious business for the Empire. They want to make sure they accomplish their mission of capturing Cassian Andor, potentially getting information and/or capturing Axis. So yeah, Dedra Meero and the Empire, they mean business. And as Dedra Meero and the Empire are getting stuff together, We also see that Brasso and our boy Zan are discussing the fact that Zan last episode spoke to Cassian and explained to him that sadly his mother has passed and he knows there's going to be a funeral. Most likely Cassian is going to wind up coming back to Ferrix. And so Brasso is kind of bracing himself for that eventuality, and we see that they're preparing for tomorrow's funeral service for our homegirl, Marda. As Brasso and Zan are making moves, so too is Cinta and Vel. Vel has traveled to Ferrix because, again, we know that Luthen Rael, he wants to kill Cassian. He wants Cassian dead because Cassian is a link to Luthen for the job on Aldhani. And he wants to eliminate that connection to Aldhani. So that's why Cinta has been on Ferrix, and that's why Vel has now returned to Ferrix, because they know most likely Cassian is going to arrive for Marda's funeral, and they want to be prepared to capture him and kill him when the chance arises. You know, and I love the scenes that we get of Cinta and Vel, because it really encapsulates an overarching theme that we've seen throughout this entire series. The idea of sacrifice and what someone has to give up, what they have to sacrifice in this fight against the Empire, right? The original trilogy, as great as it is, we kind of get this like rosy picture of these freedom fighters that are fighting against tyranny, against the Galactic Empire. But with Rogue One and with Andor, we're seeing a different side of what it takes to be a revolutionary, what it takes to be a freedom fighter and to fight tyranny. There is some serious sacrifice that has to be made, because it is a very hard fight to fight against a tyrannical, oppressive regime like the Empire. And we see that sacrifice perfectly encapsulated in Vel and Cinta's interaction with one another. Cinta is all business. Cinta only cares about the rebellion and making sure she's successful in her mission of finding and killing Cassian. For Vel, though, yes, she wants to help the rebellion when possible, but Vel is, look at what that's doing to Cinta and Vel's relationship. And Vel understands that and knows that the rebellion, this cause, is what is putting a wedge between Cinta and Vel. So True Vulgarian says, I'm betting Vel isn't long for this world. Cinta is a survivor. Vel seems easily overwhelmed. We did get that scene in the episode where we get the Aldhani heist, where Vel was losing it and Cinta had to rein her in. Cinta is definitely, she's like a rock under pressure. She is stone cold. And Vel, we've seen her, she can rise to the occasion, but we did see her get slightly overwhelmed, at least initially, during the Aldhani heist. It wouldn't shock me if Vel were to die, to be quite honest with you, because we're seeing how Mon Mothma has to sacrifice, the sacrifices that she's making for this rebellion. And Vel is her cousin. So to see Vel potentially die, that would further show the sacrifice that Mon Mothma has to make and the hardships that she has to endure, losing her cousin to this fight. So yeah, I could totally see Vel potentially dying in future seasons. Absolutely. I didn't catch this homeboy's name, so my apologies. But we see, as this is transpiring, we're seeing this young gentleman. His father is his name Willem? I can't remember this guy's name. His father's name is Solomon, I believe. He was the owner of the shop that Bix worked at. And once the Empire came to Ferrix, they wound up killing Solomon. So now his son is basically plotting revenge for his father, his lost father. And we see him creating this bomb, and I couldn't help but think about the parallels between this individual and Cassian. While Cassian didn't go headfirst into fighting the Empire, but we see how Cassian's father, who we learn his name is Clem, Clem stood up to clone troopers and wound up losing his life because of it. This young gentleman's father stands up to the stormtroopers, loses his life because of it. And now both Cassian and this guy, which I apologize, I can't remember his name. If you guys know his name, let me know in the chat, because I would appreciate it. But definite parallels that you could see between Cassian and our homeboy. We also see, I think his name is Nurchi. Nurchi speaking to Zan. He's essentially selling out the Ferrix community. He wants to basically get a ticket off world and make some money along the way. So he's going to sell out Zan. He's going to sell out Brasso and Cassian so that he can hopefully get some money and find his way off planet. And the Empire is his ticket to do so. But typically when that sort of stuff happens, usually things don't go well for Star Wars characters that do that. So, I knew once we saw this guy, I was like, all right, this dude's done. But we see how the Empire, and we get multiple instances of spies in this episode, agents of the Empire, getting information, bringing that information to the Empire to use, and how they've got tentacles and hands wrapped in as much of society as they possibly can, right? Just showing us the reach of the Empire and how they're able to maintain their control, to eliminate instances of uprising whenever possible. And yeah, true Vulgarian, I agree with you. Snitches get stitches. We all know the drill. Snitches get stitches. Absolutely. And then we see Cassian arrive to Ferrix, and he winds up going to find Bix. He learns from Pegla that Bix has been incarcerated by the Empire, and now that's his mission. His mission is, I've got to get Bix out of Imperial custody. I got to save her. I got to get my homegirl out of there. But I love these moments that we see of Cassian the night before Marta's funeral, because we see a couple of things that I really, really loved. We get the flashback of Cassian. He goes to his father Clem's funerary brick, and we get that flashback of Clem speaking to Cassian, explaining to him about how, I don't know exactly what the part was, but they've got these, Clem was able to acquire a bunch of these parts. They're older parts, they've been used, and he's explaining how, hey, I don't know if he's referring to the Empire or just whomever, they want to sell you new parts for 10 times the price when we've got these 50, 60, 70 of these components that are used, a little dirty, we clean them up and they're perfect, and we can get 500 credits per unit, which again I felt is just further metaphor for Cassian, right? This guy that he's doing his part, he's doing his role, and while it might not be a brand new super shiny freedom fighter that we may come to know, but underneath the dirt and the grime, underneath the veneer that Cassian has built up over these years, there is a good person there. There is a true freedom fighter there. There is a true revolutionary there. And he's just waiting to come out. And I love that. Again, just the metaphor that we're getting there of this part basically representing Cassian and what we've seen from him from episode 1 up to this point, and what we're gonna continue to see as the series progresses. So I really, really like that scene, and it was just great to see, you know, Clem and Cassian together. And then we also get the scene of Cassian listening to Nemik's manifesto, which I loved. Bummed that my homeboy Nemik didn't make it, but I love that we get to listen to his manifesto, and I hope that's something that we will get to hear again throughout the series, whether it's next season or in upcoming seasons, that we get to continue to hear more of Nemik's manifesto, because I think that's awesome. Hearing what Nemik was talking about, fighting this dangerous and hard fight is not going to be tough. It's going to feel isolating at times. It's going to feel impossible at times, but the fight is worth it. Just very much something that we see echo throughout Star Wars, in pretty much all Star Wars stories, whether it's the films, shows, books, comics, whatever, right? Fighting against injustice is important whenever possible, and it may not always be the easiest thing. It may seem impossible at times, but it's always going to be valiant, and it's always going to be worth it. So I really love those two scenes, because I think it just helps further develop Cassian as a character, further help us understand where Cassian gets from episode 1 of season 1 of Andor to the ending of Rogue One. Just love it. And, you know, I will sing the praises of this show, hopefully, once the finale of this series airs. Hopefully it's going to continue to be just as strong. But yeah, I love that we're seeing this really excellent character development in just a few minor scenes. These are very quick scenes. The scene with Clem and then Cassian listening to Nemik's manifesto are very brief. You're talking about maybe maximum 2 minutes of scenes, but I would wager that the Clem scene was probably like 30 seconds to a minute, and then the Nemik manifesto was probably like 15-20 seconds max. So yeah, just really love those scenes and those moments in the episode. And yeah, there's our homeboy Clem. The following day, things are going to be popping off, and we learn what the Empire is doing. And I love this because we see them talking about how essentially they've okayed the funeral, but they've limited it to 40 people. The road that the funeral is going to take place on, it's going to be limited in where the funeral can actually take place. So it's essentially like a square, because they want to try to minimize the efforts of the Ferrix citizens from being able to congregate, and also to potentially negatively impact their ability to capture Cassian. And I love that you just see here again the hubris of the Empire, and that holier than thou, right? They're standing on this balcony looking down on the citizens of Ferrix, because they don't view the citizens of Ferrix as citizens of Ferrix. They're just, to some extent, subjects of the Empire, right? Of the Emperor. They're Imperial citizens, and they are beneath the Empire and the wishes of the Emperor. And I love that. I don't know if that it was 100% the symbolism meant for this scene, but that was definitely my thought. Was, yeah, the reason why we're seeing them standing on this balcony as they're talking about the preparations that are being made for their plot, right, is standing on a balcony overlooking the citizens of Ferrix, which I thought was really cool. As this is happening, our homeboy Cassian meets up with Brasso, and I loved this moment. I really, really thought this moment was special, was really endearing, very heartwarming and also saddening moment, because we see Brasso and Cassian meeting up again since they had to part ways after episode 3 or episode 2. I can't remember when it was that Brasso last saw Cassian, but Cassian is explaining to Brasso how he wishes essentially he didn't leave, and that he would have been around for Marva as she was passing on. And Brasso tells Cassian, hey, Marva is proud of you. Marva knows that you are going to go on to do awesome things. And that to me was just such a special moment, very emotional moment. It was almost an overwhelming moment for me, because I was thinking about in Rogue One, when we see Cassian and Jyn Erso on the beach as the Death Star is about to blow up the Citadel Tower on Scarif. And Cassian tells Jyn that Galen Erso, her father, would be proud of her. And I just love that. There's been so many moments in this season that seem to mirror or echo things that we've seen in Rogue One, which is not a coincidence, right? Tony Gilroy was a part of the creation of Rogue One, so it stands to reason that our homeboy is going to be echoing moments and mirroring moments that we got from Rogue One. And I totally felt that in this scene. But even with that aside, it was just such an emotionally impactful and overwhelming scene for me and moment for me, because again, it just helps show that growth and that development of Cassian. Think about where we meet Cassian at the beginning of this season. He's killing corpos. People look at him kind of like he's a bum, like he's a good guy, he means well, but he owes people money. He uses people for favors left and right and kind of doesn't ever pay them back. But now look at him. Look at what he's starting to become and the person that he's starting to become. And I love that. And again, this moment, I really, really enjoyed this moment because of the fact that it just further exemplifies that growth that we're seeing in Cassian, the love that Cassian has for Marva and the love that Marva had for him. We're getting to see that again. And then again, just that mirroring and that echoing of Rogue One in that scene towards the movie's finale. So yeah, just an excellent scene. And then we get these two schlubs, frickin' Cyril, and Sergeant Mosk coming to Ferrix, and they exchange hats. I don't know what was up with that. Like, I almost was thinking it was like, is this supposed to be like a father taking their son's hat because maybe it's not big enough for their head or it's too small or something? Like, I didn't get the swapping of the hats, but there's definitely a reason why we see them swapping hats. I don't know what it was, but just these two freaking bums. And Luthen has arrived. We know Vel's been on planet making plans to hopefully kill Cassian, and we learn that Luthen is happy that the Empire has arrived, because in his mind, it's, hey, we could let them round up Cassian, and then once they do, we'll swoop in and we'll kill Cassian after they've captured him. Which is a smart idea, and to be fair to Luthen, that's a smart idea, not a bad plan. So, True Vulgarian, some kind of ceremony, kind of like I have your back, you have mine. Let's go back to that. Yeah, that's not a bad way to put it, or not a bad thought, because yes, Sergeant Mosk seems to be very loyal to Cyril. Don't know what that loyalty is about, but he's very, very loyal to Cyril, and that could, yeah, I could see that, you know, hey, I've got your back, you got mine, sort of a thing. Yeah. Cyril is just such a weird guy. Sergeant Mosk, I could be like, all right, he's, you know, he's kind of Cyril's ride or die. He's a loyal individual. Cyril is just an odd duck. Don't know what his deal is. And so once we learn that that Luthen is on the planet, he's gunning for Cassian. Our homeboy Cassian spies Luthen on Ferrix. And the moment he sees Luthen, the light bulb comes off. Holy crap, Luthen wants me dead. He realizes very quickly why Luthen is on Ferrix, which I think makes a ton of sense. Why else would Luthen come to Ferrix? So I like that Cassian is able to piece that together rather quickly. And then True Vulgarian mentions, going back to Cyril and Sergeant Mosk, they have a shared belief in the Empire. Part of me wonders, though, if, and we've talked, Danielle and I have talked about this, is Cyril's devotion, is it really about the Empire? Is there other reasons for that devotion, his admiration for rules? I don't know what it is, but yeah, that could also be it, their shared belief in the Empire. And man, holy crap, guys. I love the funeral procession that we get because, again, going back to what we talked about, right? Let's go back to that shot of Dedra Meero and the Imperials looking down on Ferrix, stating that, hey, we've only allowed them, I think they give them a 2-hour window, maybe. I think that's what they said. They are only allowed to do this for 2 hours, a certain amount of time. Only 40 people are allowed to attend. And they could only basically be in this square. It's got to be at a certain time. Oh, no, that's what it was. I believe he said 2 hours after midday, because their thought is that after lunch, they get a little sluggish, so they'll be more docile. But the people of Ferrix are like, nah, brah, because we see our homeboy, the Time Grappler, up in the tower banging on the anvil or whatever that thing is, letting the citizens of Ferrix know that, hey, the funeral is going to begin. And I love that we see them all dressed. I'm assuming this is either the garb of maybe the daughters and the sons of Ferrix. I don't know if there is a thing called the Sons of Ferrix, or if this is more just like traditional Ferrix garb that people wear in funeral processions or whatever. But I love that you see them wearing this sort of traditional kind of garb. And we see Marva was actually made into a brick. She did die. Danielle and I, we theorized that maybe she did not actually die. But now watching this episode, I almost like that she didn't die better than if, or excuse me, I almost like that she died better than if she didn't die. And the reason being is we get to see essentially Cassian's point of view of her death, right? He wasn't there to see Marva die and to be there with her and to help making plans and prepare for her funeral, because he was incarcerated, right? And that could further be another reason for him to just have such ire and disdain for the Empire. He had to miss the death of his mother, and he couldn't be there to help prepare for her funeral because he was incarcerated for a very stupid reason. So I actually like the fact that we didn't get to see Marva's death, because I feel like it's almost more impactful when we're looking at it from the point of view of Cassian, right? Just like we didn't get to see Marva's death, nor did Cassian, and I like that. And we see that our homegirl made into a brick, which it's not a bad way to have your remains taken care of. Be made into something useful. I like that. I always joke with Danielle. I'm like, yeah, just throw me in the river when I die. Make me into a brick. That's not a bad way to get your remains taken care of. And oh man, B2 emo. I would die for B2 emo. all right, maybe I wouldn't die. Maybe that's being a little hyperbolic, but I would do a lot of things for the safety of B2 Emo, to ensure the safety of B2 Emo. We have to protect B2 Emo at all costs, guys. What a freaking character. What a droid. I love this freaking droid. And just seeing him at the head of the procession with Brasso was great. I really, really enjoyed that. And B2 Emo just like pulls at my heartstrings. I love this character. I love this droid. I would do a lot for B2 Emo. And we see that B2 Emo has a message, a recording, a holo recording that Marva made before her passing. And I love this monologue. One of the incredible things about season 1 of Andor is that we've gotten some excellent monologues throughout this season. Kino Loy's monologue in episode 10. Luthen Rail's monologue in episode 10. This monologue here, where essentially Marva is saying, we've been asleep. We've been allowed to do our thing here on Ferrix because we've been a good Imperial planet. We've kept trade moving and grooving here on the planet. We've been a cog in the machine of the Imperial galaxy, making sure that we're keeping goods flowing from this planet and we're not causing a fuss. But now look what happens. The moment we cause any little bit of a stir here, the Empire comes down on us with an iron fist. You know, and I don't think that the message in this monologue is, I think it's very purposeful to what it's saying, right? And can mirror our own world, right? The moment you allow injustice to happen, the moment you allow regimes across the world, governments, groups of people to vilify others or to strip away freedoms, you become part of the problem. And you're asleep, and you're allowing injustice to embed itself into the fabric of society and grow like a damn disease. And I love that Marva, she's using, you know, the analogy of being asleep and then saying, I'm awake. I'm finally awake. And now we have to fight. We cannot allow tyranny and oppression to continue. We have to fight. And man, what a freaking monologue. What an excellent, excellent, excellent monologue. And I love Fiona Shaw's delivery. And again, just a really special scene. Kind of hit home a little bit more than I thought it would, especially with some things that have happened here in America lately. So really an excellent scene, and I love this moment. And of course, as soon as this happens, the Empire is not thrilled about it, and our homeboy tries throwing B2 Emo. And bro, I was ready to lose my shit. But I love that as Marva is talking and she's giving this monologue, we can see how it's affecting those in the crowd, especially Luthen. You see Luthen's face as Marva is speaking, and I love it because Luthen knows, yeah, this is the good fight. This is why I do this. And I love that. I love that we see Zan's face, Brasso's face. We see Luthen. We get moments of Bix. It's just excellent. This scene was very, very impactful. An excellent, excellent, excellent scene. And then as soon as B2 Emo gets thrown, shit hits the fan. And we see our homeboy, he tosses his homemade bomb into the crowd and makes things even worse. Like I just thought it, you know, it's like a powder keg, this situation. No shock. Things go off the rails super fast. What did the Empire expect? You know, you're tightening your grip on this planet. You're forcing them to, or limiting them in being able to have a funeral for a highly, I don't want to say highly important, but she was a valued individual in the community, and you're trying to limit what they do. You're trying to stamp out some of their local customs, right? So of course it's going to lead to this riot and this uproar on Ferrix. The powder keg situation. Now, one of the things I have to mention, I have trained in Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu for years. So it's a blessing and a curse when it comes to watching television and movies, because I oftentimes will pick out, when I see fight scenes and fight choreography, I'll be sitting there judging whether or not the strikes look real, the choreography looks real, or if it's actually something that's practical and would make sense in terms of fighting. Bro, big ups to Brasso. He teeps the shit out of it, and I can't remember this Imperial officer's name. Just straight up teeps him, like, with perfect form. He front kicks this dude. I loved it. When I saw him teep this dude, I was like, hell yes, that is what perfect form. That is a straight up Muay Thai front kick, and I'm here for it. So True Vulgarian says, remember the hologram when he was crafting that bomb in the beginning of the episode? Did you see whose face it was? Yeah, great, excellent point, True Vulgarian, which I didn't capture a screenshot of that. Initially, I thought that hologram, because we don't see, it's Solomon's face, it's the father, his face, who the Empire wound up killing, the young gentleman, which again, I think his name is Willem. I can't remember his name. His father, Solomon, we see as he's making the bomb, Solomon's face is in that holo. And initially, I thought that was Cassian. And then you see the close-up of Solomon's face. I'm like, oh, okay, that's who it is. But yeah, I don't think that that's a coincidence that we're seeing Solomon's face. And it seemed to me, based upon what Marva was saying, that is this the custom of Ferrix, that once someone dies, or as they're dying, they're able to make a holo recording? Because she talks about being younger and experiencing funerals, and that she was inspired by others. So my thought is, I think this might be a Ferrix custom, that when someone is close to death, they record a holo recording that then is played during their funeral procession, right before their brick is placed wherever it's going to be placed. But I like that message of, you know, I've been inspired by others in the past, and I want to be able to inspire you all. Let's awaken, let's fight tyranny, let's not sit idly by as the Empire rules oppressively across the galaxy. So yeah, shout out to Brasso for this very nice looking teep that he gives this Imperial officer. And as things are going wild, Cyril saves Dedra, because Dedra Moore gets caught in the mayhem. And I was thinking, oh my God, is she going to die? I read something recently. I apologize. Like I said, I didn't get to prepare as much as I normally do. I think the actress's name that plays Dedra Moore is Denise Go. And she basically said she does not want any sort of moral redemption for Dedra Meero, which I really like. I like that. Let's let the villains be villainous. Let's let the Empire be portrayed as this villainous, tyrannical, dystopian, authoritarian regime, and its agents be portrayed just as that. Let's not have any redemption for these characters. So yeah, I do appreciate that. But Cyril comes to her aid. Dude, I think Cyril is in love with Dedra Moore. I think he's completely infatuated, fixated on Dedra Moore. it could go back to kind of like what we were talking about earlier with Sergeant Mosk, that, you know, that shared belief in rules in the Empire, and he's crushing hard on Dedra Moore. And so my thought earlier in the season, and as the season was progressing, my thought was that Dedra was going to use Syril as a tool to try to capture Cassian. That didn't necessarily happen, but now, based on what we've seen in the finale, I'm wondering, because Syril has saved her life, if she's gonna throw him a bone and help him join ISB or maybe the Imperial military or something. But yeah, Syril is like heart eyes crushing hard over Dedra Moore, and right now he is very happy that he was able to save her life, because yeah, I thought for a second that she wasn't going to make it. Going back to front kicks, right? We got Brasso doing a very nice looking front kick to then our homeboy, the time grappler, teeping the shit out of this stormtrooper out of the tower, which was just so dope. I was fist pumping when he kicked this stormtrooper off the freaking tower. I was like, hell yes. Just so freaking awesome. And I love that we see him. I was hoping that almost like the armor from Mandalorian, how when the stormtroopers at the finale of season 1, she starts using her forging weapons to fight the stormtroopers. I was hoping we were going to see this dude use those, like that hammer that he's got there, to crush a freaking stormtrooper. But even better, he just straight up front kicks him off of the tower, which was pretty great. And during the mayhem, we see Cassian wisely using the chaos and the insanity that's happening outside. He breaks into the hotel and captures Bix. And bro, Bix is like, it seems like she's almost delusional, as if the torture that she's been put through has really messed with her brain. She looks and acts and speaks like she's just completely out of it. So man, they must have really been torturing her tremendously. Like, I know we've been seeing her looking worse for wear, but I don't know if it's just her spirit's broken or if that torture method that Dr. Gorst was putting her through basically like fries someone's brains. But man, holy crap, she is looking worse for wear. And initially she doesn't want to go. She doesn't want to leave with Cassian, but she does eventually wind up leaving with Cassian once that bomb goes off and makes the situation even worse. We get to see Cinta take down this gentleman's name, and again, I'm drawing a blank on this guy's name. I love how he's like, yeah, what the hell are you doing, bro? What's up? And she just stabs him, and like, not only does she stabs him, but she really then like digs it in to make sure 100% this dude's dead. So again, going back to what we talked about earlier, Cinta is a stone cold frickin' killer. She means business. She's an absolute badass. She is completely down for the cause. And if you are a part of the Empire and you're in her way or you're in her vicinity, you better watch out, because she is someone to be feared and not someone to be trifled with. And we see her again going back to her relationship with Vel. Vel wants to know what happens to her because she sees there's blood on Cinta's hand as they're getting all this stuff out of this room. They're trying to get ready to leave Ferrix, not leave any trace that they've been on this planet. And Cinta is not telling her what's happened. She's not being honest and telling Vel that, hey, I just killed this dude. It's it's blood. I'm all right. No big deal. Nothing to fret over. They're just showing how the rebellion, this cause, is driving a wedge between their relationship and is most likely going to be the ruination of their relationship. I don't think if they both wind up surviving, if neither of them die, I think their relationship is going to fall apart because of the cause. Because again, a central theme in this series so far has been sacrifice and what this fight does to people and what they have to give up or what they lose as a result of it. And I think if they both survive as the season goes on, we're going to see their relationship fall to the wayside. Now, as this whole chaos is unfolding during the funeral, I couldn't help but wonder, did Luthen, because we see here Luthen, he's looking at this whole scene unfolding, and I wasn't sure, is our homeboy like second guessing himself? Because if you think about it, Luthen is kind of all to blame with what has happened on Ferrix. Yes, Cassian kills those two Primors, but Cassian would have probably been able to get off planet even without Luthen. Once Luthen arrives, things get crazy and only continue to get crazier. And you could definitely say that Luthen is partly to blame for what is happening during this episode. And I wondered if he realized that, if he thought that, damn, you know, look at what my actions have caused. Because we see how he's willing to sacrifice people's lives. He mentions in his monologue to Lani, my inside, I'm basically soulless. There is no sunshine in my mind. My mind has become basically a sunless void, devoid of happiness because of the choices and the things that he has to do for the rebellion. But I wondered in this moment if he almost second guessed himself or felt some sort of, I don't want to say remorse, but kind of like, damn, what have I done? I don't know, but there's definitely something going on with Luthen as he watches the mayhem unfold. Because I don't think it's him looking at this chaos and rioting happening and saying to himself, this is what I wanted. Definitely did not seem to be the case. So I wonder what's kind of going through Luthen's mind here. I don't think it's necessarily good thoughts that he's having at this moment as all the wildness of the funeral mayhem unfolds. And as things start to wind down, we see Brasso, Bix, Cassian. There was another woman she was a daughter of Ferrix. They're able to get to a ship that Pegla has gotten together for them so that they can get off world as quickly as possible. And Cassian makes mention of a moon. He refers to it as the Ganji moon. I couldn't find anything. I paused the episode as I was watching. It's like, Ganji moon. Why does that sound familiar? But I couldn't find anything on that moon. Danny girl, Jezzy, is that the woman, the daughter of Ferrix? Glad although you're not here to stream with me, I'm glad you're able to join the chat, homegirl. But anyway, sorry, I just got super excited that my wife, although she's not here in the chat, or excuse me, here streaming with me, she's able to join the chat. Love you, homegirl. Hope work's been okay. But Cassian is basically, I love that we see Cassian like go into like straight up leader mode here, because he's telling the woman, the daughter of Ferrix woman, hey, you're gonna get out of here as quickly as possible, pedal to the metal, and you're going to go to this moon as quickly as possible. Just again showing us that, you know, and we've mentioned this before in our other breakdowns, Cassian is a leader. He rises to the occasion. When things are going crazy, our dude stays level-headed, and he's able to keep his composure under pressure. And he's telling this woman, hey, let's get the hell out of here. Here's where you're going to go. I'm assuming we're going to see him meet up with them at some point, but loved seeing this scene. I also love, bro, again, I'll take a bullet for B2EMO. Like, I love B2EMO just getting so excited when he sees Cassian, and also Cassian telling B2EMO, I know you've got this. Look out for them, basically. I can always count on you to do what I need you to do because you never fail me. B2EMO, I will take a bullet for B2EMO. I'll fight people for B2EMO. That boy's my dog. If you're drinking, take a shot for B2EMO because he is special and needs to be protected at all freaking costs. And I love when you see the moment he sees Cassian, he gets so freaking excited, and I cannot wait to see. I'm hoping we're going to see Cassian and B2EMO teaming up together next season, and B2EMO having more of a presence next season because, oh, what a character. What an awesome character. I love this droid. And then we see our homeboy. He goes to the Fondor. He finds the Fondor because, again, he knows where Luthen is going to park it, which as much of a spy mastermind as Luthen is, you would think our homeboy would park somewhere else. But no, Cassian is able to find where Luthen has parked the Fondor, and he sneaks onto the ship, places a blaster, and he tells Luthen that, hey, either kill me or take me in. Take me out or take me in, because we're not going through this. You're not going to be chasing me down, and I want in. I love that this episode ends in this way. And we see Luthen's face, Luthen realizing, bro, I got a real one here. This is excellent. I know what this guy's capable of, and if he is down for the cause, he can be an excellent ally. And I love that. And again, just thinking about where Cassian started off, Cassian wanted nothing to do with Luthen. He wanted nothing to do with the rebellion. He only took part in the Aldhani heist for money. Couldn't care less about any rebellion or any cause. But now, after everything that's transpired this season, him being incarcerated, him having to miss the death of his mother because of that, and also miss the preparations of her funeral, his friends being murdered on Ferrix, his friends being tortured, him listening to Nemik's manifesto, all of that has culminated in changing him in a very dramatic way, in a drastic way, that now he's telling Luthen, bro, either kill me or take me in. Let me be essentially your understudy. Mentor me in the ways of espionage and spy work. And I love that the episode ended this way, because we're going to get to see next season Cassian and Luthen working closely together. Luthen mentoring Cassian. That is something I am super, super, super excited for. Very excited about that. Now, we can't end our chat without discussing Mon Mothma's part in this episode. Mon Mothma, I loved her entire story throughout this season. Again, that the theme of sacrifice. We've seen Mon Mothma have to sacrifice a lot in this season. But I love that in this scene here, because we see this is in the beginning of the episode, first like 10 minutes of the episode. She's waiting for Perrin to come out of wherever it is he's hanging out. And our homegirl knows Cloris is not to be trusted. He is a spy. We've heard her tell Luthen There are spies all around her. She can't trust anyone. And she wisely plays Chloris. She starts laying into Perrin because apparently he has gambling issues, and she wisely is using that as a way to cover up the fact that, hey, she's got $400,000 missing from her bank account. How can she, if she can avoid having to betroth her daughter, or even if, I guess, because we see her towards the end of the episode, we know plea is going to be betrothed. So my thought is, even though we know she's going to get that $400,000, she's planting that seed of misinformation for the Empire because she knows that Chloris is going to report back to ISB or whomever that, hey, her husband's got a gambling problem. He's been stealing. She's worried that he's lying to her, and she's also scared about where he's getting this money. Right? Because we see Chloris, he goes and reports back to Blevin, telling Blevin they were arguing. Perrin has been gambling, and Mon Mothma again frightened about him lying, and also where he's getting, how he's gotten the money. And Blevin is saying, oh, this makes sense. She's missing this money. This would explain it. And as this is going on, though, we also learn that just as Luthen discussed, the raid at Spellhouse, it was a trap. Anto Krieger, 30 men and Anto Krieger don't make it. And we hear Lonnie tell Blevin, as ISB is essentially celebrating the defeat of Anto Krieger and his men at Spellhouse, that the Empire, they were counting the bodies at that point. They didn't know how many casualties or fatalities the raid resulted in. But Dedra Meero is not happy because, smartly, she's saying, dead people don't talk. We need information. We need to find out as much information as we can about Axis. And you've just killed everyone. But Major Partagaz is like, no, this is a victory that we should be celebrating. So Luthen was right. The sacrifice of Anto Krieger and his men will probably pay off, because maybe this is going to allow, or going to force Dedra Meero to have to pump the brakes on her investigation of Access. Maybe slightly. It'll be interesting to see if next season how that works out. Because we still don't know. Remember, was it the last episode or the episode prior where Bix was being interrogated and she was asked if Anto Krieger was Axis. So maybe she told the Empire that Anto Krieger was the gentleman that she connected Cassian to. And now that Anto Krieger is dead, I wonder if we're going to see next season the Empire kind of back away from this investigation, or if they think that, hey, the case is closed. We've located Axis. We've killed him and his men. Let's move on to other things. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, Dedra Meero, she's a smart cookie, and Partagaz, even though he's a smart cookie too, and some of these other ISB agents, they are not so wisely celebrating this victory and not seeing that. Well, in fairness to them, they don't know that Lonnie's a mole, right? So I guess why wouldn't they celebrate this victory? But either way, Dedra is 100% right in saying, hey, we needed at least one of them alive to be able to interrogate them and try to get information from them. So True Vulgarian says, in a way, your response to the question doesn't matter. As she said, they wouldn't believe her anyway. So True Vulgarian, are you referring to Bix? I'm not sure if you're referring to Bix or to Dedra. I'm thinking you're referring to Bix when she was being interrogated. And yeah, I mean, that's definitely, if you're referring to Bix, that's, especially in our world, a big critique of torture, right? That probably not getting accurate information. So yeah, True Vulgarian's referring to Bix. And yeah, if what is being stated, or the information that's being stated is being told under torture, how reliable is that information, right? If you're harming me physically, probably going to tell you whatever, right? So yeah, I think Bix, because we didn't get to see her response, I think Bix probably told the ISB agent that Anto Krieger was Axis, and I think their thought is going to be, hey, we've eliminated Axis, we've eliminated this spy network, or this rebel network, and season 2 we may see Dedra Miro be up against it a little bit in terms of continuing this investigation and hunt for Cassian and for Luthen, that we might not see as much support next season as we did this season because of ISB's victory against Anto Krieger's men at Spellhouse. That's kind of what I'm thinking, and I think that's the implication that was being portrayed during this scene. And now, wrapping things up here, as we mentioned earlier, we learned that Mon Mothma agrees to the betrothal proposal from Davos Skulden. His wife's hair. I thought of the Bride of Frankenstein, or like Marge Simpson. That is some wild hair she's got going on. I'm sure that's not her actual hair, right? It's probably a wig. But man, think about the hairspray, or like the sculpting, I don't know, it'd be gel or mousse or whatever the hell would go into someone's hair to get their hair to stay up like that. But man, that is a hairdo. And look at Mon's face, look at Mon Mothma's face, look at Perrin's face, and look at Cleia's face. Her parents are not thrilled about this. They understand what it's like to have to be betrothed to someone and have an arranged marriage, and how awful it can be, how it could result in this loveless marriage. And Cleia is all about it, dude. She's all about it. Dana Girl says, we got to get you better at the wig watch. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, oh, look at that wig. And then sometimes I'm like, I didn't even realize it's a wig. My wife, Danny Girl, can sometimes be way better at observing things than I can be. But yeah, man, that Davos Skulden's wife, man, that is quite the hairdo. But Cleia, dude, she is, I feel for this girl. She is blinded by the Chandrillan traditions and wanting to live this traditional Chandrillan life. And it's sad because you know what type of marriage Mon Mothma has, and how Cleia could have a similar type of marriage. And while she may be happy now, down the line, she may be miserable. True Vulgarian. Bro, love that observation. So True Vulgarian says, notice that Mon Mothma and Perrin dress in opposite colors. Love it. Look at that. Mon's got this beautiful gold jacket with like a not teal, but like a bluish sort of like undercoat or tunic. Our boy Perrin has a blue coat on with gold trim, got a gold cummerbund, blue tunic, and then like a gold tunic underneath that, and they both have white shirts underneath all of their clothing. Wow, great observation, True Vulgarian. Which, yeah, visually, right? We've seen this entire season just how those two are complete opposites. They are oil and vinegar. And we are seeing that 100% being displayed in their clothing. Turquoise, would that be turquoise? Yeah, I guess. It's like a bluish green. But yeah, I did not notice that, but yes, thank you, True Vulgarian. That is an excellent observation that, yeah, they're wearing the opposite colors, and 100% that is purposeful. That is 100% purposeful. And oh boy. So before we get into the post-credit scene, my Dana girl, I'm thinking that turquoise, gold, white are the official Chandrillan colors. Oh, that could very well be. I like that. Don't know if that's the case, but I do. If that is the case, that would be dope. Isn't Davos Skeldon and wife dressed in the same color scheme? Let's see. You might be onto something, Danny girl. I wonder if those are traditional sort of Chandrillan colors. Maybe the official colors of Chandrilla, or if it's a custom that, hey, when a betrothal is being made, you wear these colors. But love it. True Vulgarian and Dana girl. See, guys, this is why I married Danielle. This is why we make a great team. She'll pick up. I could tell you the frickin' what powers a goddamn Y-wing, but things like, oh snap, the outfits that these people are wearing, that Mon Mothma and Perrin are wearing, are completely flip-flopped. And yeah, you could be right, Dana girl. This could absolutely be like, hey, during a proposal, during a betrothal, these are the colors that you have to wear. That's the custom of Chandrilla. Because I imagine, right? Because we see, let's go back. The young boy is wearing that same kind of like turquoise tealish color with gold, and poor Cleda is wearing white, which, not surprising. White is often a color that's used to depict virtue and chastity, innocence. So yeah, that would make sense. So yeah, I think what we're probably seeing here is whether these are the official colors of Chandrilla or not. I think these are the colors that are to be worn during this custom of two houses, two families betrothing their children to one another. Yeah, and True Vulgarian makes a great point that the Skeldons match each other more closely in their outfit and their garb, where we see Mon Mothma and Perrin are their outfits, the color schemes are flip-flopped, but then if we look at Davo Skeldon and his wife, their outfits are more aligned in each other, in what they're wearing. So yeah, that's a great point, and I don't think that that's a coincidence. I imagine we're going to learn more about Davo Skeldon next season. I imagine we're going to learn more about his operation and his business. And based on what we're seeing here, maybe his wife has a hand in it. Maybe she's complicit in his nefarious deeds, or is at the bare minimum aware of them and is okay with them. And yeah, we see Perrin and Mon, just two opposite individuals, totally not down for this custom, but going along for the ride because Mon needs Davos Skeldon's money. Guys, we got to talk about that final scene, that post-credit scene. Holy crap. And Danny Girl and I, we talked about this. My thought was, both of our thoughts was, most likely we were going to learn that what Cassian and the prisoners were making was going to be for the Death Star. We said the Death Star, or maybe TIE fighters or other munitions, but most likely we thought Death Star, and bam, the freaking Death Star. And I don't know what planet this is over. Definitely not Geonosis. And I'm trying to remember. It's been years since I read Catalyst, and I don't recall in Catalyst if they mention where the Death Star was being constructed after Geonosis. But nevertheless, that will be something I'll have to do some research on after today. Nevertheless, love that we not only get to see in the get a post-credit scene, but we get to see that, yes, the things, the items that the prisoners on Narkina 5 and probably all throughout the galaxy, I think we're going to learn, or it wouldn't shock me if the Empire is using prisons in a similar fashion across the galaxy, having them create materials and components of the Death Star. But love this, and just the connecting back to Rogue One. How sad, how tragic is it that Cassian had a hand in constructing the machine, the weapon that will be his ultimate demise. Love it. So freaking good. And just an excellent post-credit scene. Didn't need to be, I mean, what was it, like 20 seconds, 30 seconds? And just like, my mouth was my jaw was to the floor as soon as we saw this. I was just like, hell yes, this was such an excellent way to freaking end this season. I'm at a loss, guys, with superlatives that I could use to explain how much I loved season 1 of Andor. Season 1 of Andor completely exceeded my expectations for a Star Wars series, completely exceeded my expectations in this season and what I was expecting from Andor. It was spectacular in every single way. The acting, the script, the dialogue, the music, the scenes, the exposition, the character development. I mean, everything about this season was excellent. I think the only gripe I would have, and that I've seen others echo, was just the lack of aliens in the season. But Tony Gilroy did explain that, hey, came down basically to like money and COVID, and I can live with that. You know, that is, as much as it stinks, hey, that is a sufficient enough explanation. And to me, even if Tony Gilroy's response was, hey, I didn't really want to have aliens in this season, yeah, that would have sucked, but it wouldn't eliminate or lessen my enjoyment of this season. This season was spectacular, and this season has shown just how excellent Star Wars can be, even when we are not talking about Skywalkers or Force users. Especially if you have people involved that are extremely talented and that can create an excellent story. I would love Tony Gilroy to just be involved with like every Star Wars story. I know that's not possible, but this season has been incredible. I am excited to go back and rewatch it. I love that it was 12 episodes. It feels like
We've gotten some serious growth from where we began to where the season ended, and I love that. There's a lot to chew on with this season, and there's probably going to be videos and things I want to dissect as we get away from this finale, but for right now, I'm just going to enjoy this finale and this moment and just really appreciate the fact that we got to experience this season. You know, I love having a YouTube channel. I love having a Star Wars YouTube channel specifically. But one of the downsides is I see a lot of negativity in my comments on my videos, posts that I make, a lot of negativity from Star Wars fans about Star Wars, which is such a bummer to me. Because Andor is just complete proof that we can have excellent Star Wars stories. And to me, Star Wars it's like coffee. I've said this before. No Star Wars, or any Star Wars, is better than no Star Wars. But I really hope that as a collective fandom and as a community, we could come together and appreciate Andor for what it is, because it has been a wonderful ride, and I cannot wait until we get next season, which I think is going to drop probably around the same time. I think it's going to be like fall 2024 if they've already begun filming. So we'll see. But man, love this season. I think we've got coming up next, as far as shows go, The Bad Batch. I think The Bad Batch is going to be dropping. Is it January? I think it's January, which that'll be a ton of fun. Bad Batch has been Bad Batch season 1 was a lot of fun, so I'm sure that'll be fun. But I want to know what you guys think about season 1 of Andor as a whole. What did you think about the finale? Was there any things in the season that you would have liked to have seen more of, or liked to have seen explained more? Was there anything from the season that you didn't think should have been in the season, or didn't need to be addressed? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are, and let me know if you're excited for season 2 of Andor. As we continue on, I'm sure we're going to get some really cool stuff in this series. I thought that with the finale, we might get a big reveal or a big cameo. My thought was, hey, maybe we're going to see some Ghost Crew people, or maybe like Thrawn, but no dice this time. So I wonder if maybe we might see some cameos next season, Orson Krennic, or some other familiar faces from the Star Wars galaxy, which would be cool. That's one thing I am definitely hoping we get to see next season. Now, as far as what we've got going on as a channel in the future, I've been doing live streams for my gameplay walkthrough of Jedi Fallen Order. Gonna keep doing those. Maybe gonna do it Saturday or Sunday, depending upon my schedule and kind of what happens over Thanksgiving. I just started doing a Q&A live stream, which has been a lot of fun. Because of the holiday, it might wind up being next Tuesday. I think I'm going to try to do them every Monday and or Tuesday. This coming week, it might be a Tuesday that I have to do it. But keep a lookout for those, because they've been a ton of fun, and I've been really enjoying the questions I've been getting and being able to answer them and nerd out on Star Wars. The most recent Q&A that I did, I got a question that I was like super excited for. So if you haven't checked out either of the Q&As, Go give them a watch. Listen to me nerd about Star Wars for about an hour. And then, as always, dropping shorts and dropping videos on the reg like we normally do. Now's a good time, guys. If you haven't, like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't. Always appreciated. Always appreciate the love I get from you guys. It's dope to know that somehow I've been able to garner an audience for my love and appreciation for Star Wars. It's so dope. So thank you all. Thank you all for taking the time this season to listen to Danny Girl and I hem and haw about how much we loved Andor Season 1. It's been a fun ride, and it's been great to have you guys be a part of that ride with us. And if you have not just started a Discord server, make sure to join that if you haven't. Hop over to our YouTube channel, and in the About section is the link so that you could join our Discord. With that said, guys, I'm going to go get ready to have a wild Thanksgiving. To my American friends and to those listening, have an excellent Thanksgiving. For those outside of the US, you guys are awesome. I hope you have an excellent week. Love you guys. May the Force be with you, and stay nerdy.